the series of Wednesday sculpting streams. So in this one here, we're starting with a an orc character. I've got to go back and find where we're starting. Yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna turn this fella into an orc. So last week we did, or rather a fortnight ago, we started with the dwarf smoking the pipe. Unfortunately, I missed last week because I was like dreadfully sick, and it was just after Christmas. So yeah, I think that's a valid excuse. But anyway, so I'm going to try and do this one in sort of under 3 hours. So our goal will be to sort of make a character to lead the orcs that were from January, but this current release are the ones that are out at the moment. So yeah, first things first, I've got to start with is taking this body, making it sort of appropriate for the orc, and then start dressing it. So I've got to open up one more thing. Okay, cool. Grab that normal. So, right, all right. So where are we going to start? So this is an old body that I made. I reckon would have been over a year ago. It's not sort of perfect like anatomy, but I think it. But it will start for like be the start of what I wanted like to get out of this. So I want sort of a to have like a great big shield. Yeah, and then make that head. Cool. Yeah, and then he's going to be pushing his sword forward. But anyway, first things first, we've got to fix this body. So I'm going to start by cutting off the arms and then fixing the shoulders. So I bring that back. So the feet and all that, and the legs aren't much of a problem. They need to get more muscular for this orc. I'm going to pull them out to the side. So make the hips wider. So it's got to still follow sort of the basic shape of a person in the sense that it's um, like an actor underneath, but someone who's probably like 6'4" something, not a regular person like this was based off. So I'll just start quickly by making these quads just a little bit bigger because I think we're going to be seeing some of the quads at the end. Then obviously got the hamstrings in here. Anyway, so I'll leave that. So we turn this head back on. That body is sort of okay. It's this shoulder that's too far forward. There's not much of a neck in. Pull that down, that to the side. And then I think the problem is this shoulder is too far forward. So if I split those off, bring this arm further out, I think that looks a little bit more balanced. Then we can stretch. Oh, actually, that hand. That one's. So that's sort of a dynamic pose. Put that back. Cool. Alright, so I think that'll do for now as the pose we're starting with. I will come back and edit that sort of as needed. I don't know how much of the arms we're going to see just yet. So one of the things I want to cover in this video is, and timestamp it off, is doing chainmail. So I've got my big chainmail document open. I reckon that a lot of the legs are going to get covered, the arms are going to get covered, but this guy has got to match the orcs that I've done sculpted in December. So I've got all those pieces opened up. I'm just going to open up in a second, just getting other photos up on the left hand side for me. So not this one, that one. I've got that one open twice. Get rid of that. That's probably want that piece. These pieces. So I'm going to start with nicking this piece, which is one of the bits that's tying together all of the orcs. Is this sort of vest piece? That's too much. But one thing it is sort of missing is just before I bring it across, I'll backfill it, and same thing down here. This will make sense at the end. I'm getting it out of the way while I can see it. We're going to need to place that on the model. So I think we're going to probably keep this piece here. Probably change the shape a little bit for this character. Definitely give him greaves probably on both feet, longer chainmail than the other ones as well. And the arms, I'll probably keep the chain on the arms, but some forearm armor. I'll go back to this one here. So you folder for arms. I always keep the arms separate folder, just so that you can reach that part of the body by turning it off. And I'll put the shield in that one as well, even though it's not on. So if we load in this core piece, so this is how, if you haven't seen me work before, this is how I always work with the pieces opened up in separate tools over here, and then bring the ones across that we need where we need them. So I'm going to select this bit here, and in that chart match, then I'll have to pull these later to reach up. You definitely need to play with this one, the way the fabric's been pulled, because here, that one, and put that off, mask, and this one back. Yeah, there's a lot of sort of pull this way, so like that's going to get pulled, and that's going to get pulled sort of across, like that, sort of like that. So if I grab these now individually, and grab now. There we go. In front. That's clearly sort of being. But that means this piece here, I need to come in. And this one here. So same thing. I think if this has been pulling it across this way, this thing here can get bunched up a bit more. I'll just, while I remember to do it, I'll sort of bunch that up a bit. There. If you're watching, what are you up to at the moment? Are you painting models from Christmas, or, you know, actually it really depends on what time zone. I'm in Australia, so we've just had dinner. So I'm imagining if I was watching, I'd just be painting. But yeah, what are you up to? I can hear the baby screaming in the background. That doesn't sound fun to do. Okay, I think this one's gonna need to slide along. This one is just a bit stretched, but because it's shorter as well, I'm gonna pull it out back in later. I think that should be some extra on it. I do want to put some more armor under this, so I think we might even lift this up as well. So I'll put some more stuff underneath here. So I'll just put that one up. But when we put some armor underneath there, then we'll reposition again. I'll pull this down now around the shoulder. Sculpting. Yeah, fair enough. Why? What should you be sculpting that you're not sculpting? I haven't touched Elden Ring yet, so I haven't been interrupted, but I've just gonna quickly look up. I I'm not following your Insta yet, so I'll just click follow. But yeah, sick, cool. Okay, I can see some dwarves and stuff on your Insta. I'll have a closer look when I'm done with this. But at least I've got the tab open to remind myself later. One of those things now. There's so many of us sculpting online that you know you can know the name, but like yeah, it all sort of can blur together. But yeah, cool. I'll have a look. Looked like there was a bunch of space dwarves. Alrighty, this one at the back absolutely needs changing. Complete wrong way around. I think as well on the belt, these pieces need to move this off because yeah, that's better. Mostly learning, trying to sculpt some females. Sky dwarf. Oh, sky dwarf. Okay. Oh, as in female. What makes them different being female as opposed to male? Or as in that's just what you're doing at the moment? They're just happening to go on them. Is that at all to do with like versions for what's that? The new space squats? Um uh the ones that you can't play in Germany. The ones that the German or TO organizers said we're banning this army until the FAQ. It's who are the new 40k space dwarves? What are they called? Something overlords? I swear I knew it like not long ago. But that was Paradren. Yeah. So these are the old agency. Oh, yeah, the Caradren overlords. That's what I was thinking of. I was going, no, that's Sigma. The other ones are what are they? What did you call them? Leagues of Voting. Yeah, yeah. So apparently, you know how they do that. I think they do that. The book early, like in the like the first run. It's like the core set and the books. Apparently, the book was so broken that the German sort of 40k organizers said, "All right, we're banning this list until it gets a review or something." Well, that was pretty crazy. Damn it! All of this stuff is just that happened in the arms tab. I'll just pull that out quickly. That one's saying that. So I want this fella to have quite a bit of a gut. So he's obviously got the like that's the base muscles. I'm gonna just put the so I've just duplicated it so that one of them is inside the other. So I'm selected. Yeah, there it is. So I've selected the one that's on the inside just so that I can see what's still there. I'm gonna put a bit of extra tissue where he's just carrying some extra weight, at least on the torso. Because I want the fabric to be sort of stretched around where sort of carrying a bit more of a belly than on the back, just so he's not quite so chiseled. Sigma or sculpted to look like male dwarf faces. Oh right, okay, yeah. Are they different in Sigma? Like the in Lord of the Rings, the male and female dwarves are meant to be somewhat indistinguishable. Like it's the beards. So well, unless you're of course following the Amazon canon, but we're not going there. But yeah, in Sigma, are they sort of distinct? Like, do the female dwarves have beards in Sigma, or is it a bit more like so you can tell them apart? I'm gonna merge these together because it's all part of the one body. Um, so for the helmet, I had actually the other option is just no helmet. Um, I do want to change the face, but I've intentionally put the face there first to force me to do it without symmetry on. So it looks suppressed if I do that. It, um, try and change this face a fair bit. Yeah, at least according to the art, it's kind of loose where they can have, but some don't. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, cool. Yeah, stronger of a brow, maybe a slightly different, like more. I don't know. We'll come back to that as well with hair. No, that's yeah. I'll come back to that one when I look at the hair. So I know that this guy's going to get sort of layered up with his armor, um, and whatnot under here, over here. So the first layer down to put is chainmail. But just before I do that, I need to get some gloves out. I've forgotten to get gloves. I'm just pulling up my document for arms. I'm pull. I do need to resculpt the sort of the muscles on the arm. Um, that one, that one. This is the problem. Okay, it's this one here. I get lost in what document I've got. Question more related to this stream though. Do you strictly use ZBrush? I haven't touched Maya ever. I don't really use Blender for making any models anymore. So I think, as in when I do it, like if I make, actually I can actually pull up quickly a document. I think that is in the right condition. No, it's not that one. This one. So they're just dwarf helmets, but the way it started was I had this piece. So this was just a sphere, and I put that in front of a dwarf face. So like I said, I had a T-pose, and I was just making all the bits of armor, and so I just went in like with the brush and just went like that, smooth it out, and that's where I sort of roughly got to this sort of oh, there might be a pattern here, a beard, like the texture, and then um I put there's one under here, put that down, and then put in Blender shapes like a sphere, pulled it up from the middle, sort of sliced and cut. So these bits here, I think they've been remeshed. No, actually they haven't. So that's just a sphere that's been pulled into a shape. I've come up with a knife curve and I've sliced it up to make different things. So no, and then once it's sort of you take this one away, I just merge all that together, export it, and then just dynamesh it and smooth it to make it like that. This same helmet obviously is on a couple of models that obviously doesn't have this bit at the bottom, but no, I yeah, pretty much always do it like that. Don't always replace it with other bits. Like sometimes I'll polish, like I said, when it's sort of armor, I just put just sculpt it roughly to get the shape right, because you can obviously, yeah, you can do things in Maya and whatnot, but I prefer to do it sort of all on the mini. I like to sometimes do it where, like, if it's a piece that I'm going to reuse, instead of sculpting it just in the T pose, like as in I'll sculpt it on his leg like this, but like as in I'll put, if I was going to give him leg armor and I wanted to reuse it, and sometimes I do this particular step after the fact, but I'll just put that on there, line up the axis like this, so that when we put, so say I make the piece and it's clearly running that direction, and I made it so it fits, I can just click that button and bring it up to center, sort of position it, mirror and world, and then or mirror it onto the other side. But um, even if you just make the piece without putting it like the axis first, you can align the axis after, or bring it back upright after. But no, I prefer to do it. I have done only a little bit of sci-fi stuff, and that's where you might think you'd want to do it in Maya. And I still find that I just do it in ZBrush. But for fantasy stuff like this, yeah, no, not at all. Uh, I doesn't mean I haven't though. So we're gonna get some chainmail bits out in a second. So the original chainmail shirt, I think I did in Blender because it was just easier to put all of the squares in the right spot. But yeah, so I've got two different thicknesses of the arms. This one is normally a bit oversized. Always grab the wrong. We don't need to. Always grab the wrong one. Okay, so that one's a bit oversized, but these arms need to get beefed up anyway, and I can always just scale it down. Oh no, that actually might be right for this particular, because he's a pretty big one. But what I don't want though is to sort of is like what's happening here, where all the chain. Oh, that's not it. Where all the chain sort of just gets too close. I want it where there's an actual hole. So like I need to sort of out. I'm gonna leave that for now. But another thing I might play with just while we're here is, at the moment this is all like perfectly lined up. I might just play with what am I doing? That one. Ah, because okay, so I'll just play with some of this. So it's just a little less neat for the orc. I wish I could play with these ones more, but I really can. But this will make sense towards the end. And then I might also make bring a fraction. Yep. So the steps I do chainmail is once it's sort of positioned, I dynamesh it, smooth it all together, so that all of these bits that are overlapping sort of become one, so that when you're painting it, there's a clear hole. So what I've just done to try and put some extra sort of variance in it is so that it doesn't look like a straight line the whole way across. It's sort of broken up because that's how traditional minis. It's just sort of done with a pin to try and get a little bit to that look. Here, just while I'm thinking about it, let's go over. Because I know I'm going to. Yeah, cool. Peace. And then we'll go in. Probably before I finish these, I want to put the legs on and as well the shoulder armor because if I'm going to put shoulders on and there's going to be a wrap, it's going to affect the way the chainmail fits. Under here, armpits are always interesting for chainmail. Apparently, like lots of movie costumes, just avoid doing it because it's very tricky. But apparently, it can be done like in real life to make armpits where you can lift your arm up. But yeah, it also happens to be something that's a bit tricky on miniatures. Yeah, that's all right. Um, it's one of those things like ZBrush is a very expensive program. It's 1,500 ish Australian dollars. So like it's just over 1,000 US dollars. For a program that expensive, you would hope that there were just a bit more tools in it. Like obviously it's got a lot that we don't use when we do minis, but there's some things missing. Like Blender, you can turn an object, so you can rotate it, but still sculpt on the original symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is whatever the object has been rotated to. Like, why is that not a thing in ZBrush? And when I used to use Blender, that was something I used a lot. But yeah, not something sort of we have here, which is really silly. So I sort of want to put on whatever he's going to get on the shoulders pretty soon. I don't think he's going to go for a helmet. Come back up to one. I had done a bunch of pieces for the three orc spearmen. I don't really want to use any of those bits, but that shape there might be handy to put maybe on the legs and then give it some more shape or something. But leave that there for a second. Oh, I do have these ones here as well. I could use start with this. That's probably too short, isn't it? But yeah, sure with that. I'll come back to that in just a second. Open up. Might move to the legs, then come back to the upper body once I sort of got the lower body sort of set. Actually, another thing I haven't brought across is this piece is just a bit of sort of like add armor test. Bring that across. And no, I'll leave the two bits separate. After this, I'll get back to those legs. That's right. I'll post that in a second. So for the shoes, that's up. Made shoes last time. I might reuse the ones I've already got this time because I've been using these, well, it's like the same ones for the other boots. But that pair. So shoes, line it up with the bottom, just below the bottom of the feet, and off the base. These might not fit because the figure's pretty big. Up, down. What did you to be your favorite resources? Sculpting. Yeah, that's the thing. There actually really wasn't any. So there's learning. It's twofold. There's learning uh ZBrush, and then there's learning um sort of the art style that is miniatures. So ZBrush, there's a couple of good YouTube channels that have a bit. Can't remember off the top of my head, but as in if you looked at any ZBrush tutorial, it's going to be them. Um, Miniatures though, tricky. It's sort of sort of spent a lot of time studying other miniatures that were done traditionally. So looking at the reason actually I don't need to do that for this figure. Put that back. Yeah, so it's a tricky one. Like I spent an awful lot of time uh, studying miniatures that I liked. So a lot of them were. It started off with Perry's, so that's a given. And it's sort of things like how do they translate a detail that's obviously a real thing into like a figure, like as in hair or fur or folds in fabric. How do they handle fabric? So like how many creases will they put? Because obviously you can't do painting. You want it to be lots of flat surfaces. So you've got to make the folds in the fabric flat. Um, so like that is sort of a tricky thing. And you know, different sculptors do it differently. Some digital sculptors use cloth simulation. I'm not a fan of the cloth sim, um, but it is a thing. I just a lot of looking at photos and also putting the photos into ZBrush to have as a backdrop. That's a handy thing to do. Yeah, I don't know. It's just really been trial and error. But I can definitely see how it's changed over time. Like things have gotten thicker or thinner. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no short answer. It's just it, I feel like now though, I think there's still more to go, obviously, but um, I feel like to with the information that I sort of understand now, um, I feel like if I tried to reteach myself, it would happen much quicker than it did the first time around. Just like there was a couple of sort of you know dead ends going down like with learning, but or like some of the like the how small should details be before they're sort of unpaintable, unprintable, things like that. I sort of have more definitive answers in like measurements for that now, whereas back then when I started, it was like I knew it was a thing, but then there'd be places where I should have been paying more attention to it, um, where it was showing up where I sort of wasn't really expecting it, like things like yeah, gambeson or belt buckles were all too flat where they needed to stick out, where they're not anymore. Yeah, there's not any. Well, okay, let's flip that. Do you know of any good resources out there? Because I've seen a couple of videos floating around on like sculpting for miniatures, and like for instance, the ones I did, that's not how I work anymore. Um, well, in fact, this here is probably is more indicative of what I do now uh, than even the videos I'd put up. But some of the videos I watched, I haven't watched any in a while, but I didn't agree with it at the time, or I did something different at the time. Like I saw some videos and people were talking about spending 20 hours per figure. That's I guess that's a luxury we don't have. We don't all have. Because I spent a couple of hours and then I've got to move on to the next one. But yeah, don't know. Alrighty, so I need go back to this one. I think here's something. I'll take that line. That this piece here I could have just simply made out of like a sphere. I thought I had a pre-done sort of with texture. Yeah, not a ton of YouTube sculptors that have patrons where they teach it, but a bit hit and miss. Yeah, flip normals. That's sorry, that's one of the ones I was trying to think of because it's the guy's like, oh hey, so and so from flip normals, and I can remember the rhythm of his voice, but not what he actually said. Alrighty, that sort of that line. I'll fix that in a second. So I'll take. Actually, I haven't made a. I'm gonna cut that off. Inflate that a fraction. Stop. That will be the start of body piece. Ugh, start looking like my dad. Right, he doesn't watch YouTube. This bit here is too hugging the body at the moment. There's still got to be the layer of chainmail underneath. All right, let's merge those together. Cool. So the legs are quite thick. The leave that there for now. It's going to be. Actually, I just put in the hair. One of the things I like to do early on, and that's why I've done the legs, is before doing all of the details, is sort of establish the silhouette. So like the outline, because the silhouette is really important for like how big should these shoulder bits be? Well, they need to be proportionate to bits down here, the bits that are going to be around here, and things like that. So I'll just do the hair um, shape because it's going to be these sort of. It's not going to look. I don't know enough musicians, but sort of look like one of them musician people who do songs and shit. Just just put a little bit. That's way too tall. Yeah, so like I said in the last video going rather with hair, I'm not putting in the final strands. I'm just putting in the direction that the hair is running. I think. Put sort of a bunch of lumps in it. Like it's not like very well kept. Like yeah, okay, so he's a big socky fella. I gotta work out what actually. It's just gonna be the same sword I think that I've given to all the other guides. But okay, let's sort it. So start layering up around here. I'll do the arm sleeves in a second. I wonder if we're gonna get to a point with I'm sure we will with this sort of this digital sculpting, like when cheaper programs bring up instead of ZBrush, like eventually not a dedicated, but a better program will come about where the sculptors, instead of selling finished miniatures, start selling the assets like like a pose library. That so it'll be basically just all modular parts, and the end user will sort of assemble them. I don't know if that's the way it's going. Oh, yeah, no worries. I'll see you around. Happy New Year. I'll have a look once I've done this at your Insta, see if there's any female dwarf heads yet or any whips. All right, have a good night. All right, so the process at the moment for doing this fabric is it's being twisted. Like the right arm is being pulled across the body from the leg, so the fabric is being drawn like that way. So I'm just starting by putting in sort of lines where that is sort of natural to be. It's here's an add that out here because this shoulder is sort of dropped. So it should end up being a bit of, I'll come back to that in a bit. Just want the general shape. Actually, a bunch of this is going to get replaced with some more armor in a bit as well. So I think it's probably time to look at the chainmail that's going to come down here. I've got to work out whether there will be more of a line. So okay, it's is across here. Just lift that over the shoulder a bit. That up. So any legs? I'll do one like the bare legs exposed. I think I might pull back so that looks like it's being forward by that stride. Here. So just some simple folds. Put in marks into this. Like as in there's gonna be some more rips. This is sort of just meant to be a bit of fabric that's either been joined at the side, something very simple that that the orcs can put together. They're presumably not very good sewers. Then I'll need to do this at the top part, but the idea is it's way wider than like the belt, so it's being pulled in. So I'll need to make it some fold sort of down here. put some clouds on. And then I definitely got to put something on the shoulders. I don't know if there needs to be like a gorget or a neck piece moment. Get to that. So let's start doing the sort of. Probably only need this. No, I'll need it. Easy. I might maybe edit. Or he used it. And you'll need another hand. Fellas. Oh, he'll need a new sheet. So maybe you might get a different sword. All right. So let's start doing around the leg. I don't know if that's actually always extend. So this is art masking a bit, spinning it around place. So yeah, my approach to chainmail is with these pre-made sort of cylinders. Some of them are more complicated when they've got to go around a neck. Is start with those and then like position them here. Some people leave it once it's at sort of this point where like you just turn it all into a mesh from the nano mesh, and then it's like good to go. I like to blur it a bit, but so obviously for the on his legs here, um, actually looking from underneath, this is sort of the natural path that it's taking, like when he's taking a stride. So it means that this bit in here is just a bit too far back. Needs this needs to come a bit further forward to actually stay outside of it. But I will turn that off and just make sure it's low as it can. All right, this is what I want to avoid is here, but at the side, that bunching up. Another link series. Cross. That's all right. I think we're going to get rid of. Cool. Okay. That's the beginning of that skirt. Let's make it a fraction longer. So, crude move. First one's going to go here. One more. And we've got to go spin this around. So spin edges. There we go. Okay. A bit longer. I only want that right at the front. I'm going to pull this down, make these links here look good, and as well pull back a bit, because then I'm going to delete a bunch of the ones around that knee. We say probably similar here. Might keep them on the back of the calf. So right now, the only thing that exists here is the mesh underneath. So if I now go one to mesh, now they're all mesh. But if I go auto groups now, they're all individual. So I'm going to start getting rid of a bunch of these. So roll up, and we'll just click a bunch away. And that's how we're going to get the, sort of the profile we want. That's why I brought it down a little bit longer, just so there's a bit more to play with around just between the legs. Might yeah, okay, that's started to reload. I might leave it a little bit wider across the back. Um, like it, so I do kind of want it up on here, but at the front I want it to be a little bit narrower, sort of through the leg. Oh, that was wrong. So I want to get rid of everything sort of on this knee. Yep. A bit more. A bit. Then I'll tug it. So line there. Yeah, it's being sort of pulled up. Might put it in a little split. But I want to sort of avoid these big flat areas. And then I can pull them out that later. I'll leave that bit the way it is on the calf. That. Then go right up the side here. With the big split front to back. Or gone. It always looks weird. Let's split that, take that off. And then we're left with that. Yeah, okay, so we're next. We're finishing this. That's a good question. There's a couple of places. All right, no, actually, we'll start with the chainmail. That's got to be done before the cloth happens, so that the cloth can get finished. So this is just an example. Don't know where to start. Start from the ground up. I'm gonna duplicate this one. Back up. Guess I do something wrong here. So cool. Okay, so let's dynamesh this off. Around 2000. Oh, that's the wrong one. Take this one. Yeah, that happens. Up here. Cool. Dynamesh that. Okay, now it's all starts smooth and and position. It was fine up there. Let's just it. Then bringing up. Needs a bit more. between here, might just back. So that there's a bit more of a side profile. Like, it doesn't matter that the rings are going out of shape at the moment. I'm trying to fix all the. All right, trying to mesh that off just one time. Now, I've got to fill the gap in underneath, but before I do that, do it much easier. I drop the poly count. So this decimation always takes a little. But one of the things that happens after this as well is re-smoothing it and turning up the contrast after the decimation. It sort of just makes the gap between the rings bigger and helps sort of make the size of the rings more uniform. But it does take a little bit, a little longer. Cool. Alrighty. Just smooth it. There we go. So from here, I turn off that bit in there. Start drawing away. Yeah. And so obviously I need to fill this gap under here. I'll pull it back with the back face just back toward the middle of the model. Do the same thing from the other side. Don't want to do this too close to the size of the model because you don't want to pull it like that. But it looks like we're okay. Okay. But then just go side to side, those bits together. At the top, we don't see much of this. I'll just pull. Now I want this piece to essentially a solid bit. It's one of the other options to do this would just be to delete the polygon in the nanomesh. But I think I'd just like to move from one step to the next without second guessing. And if you do that, I guess you've got more opportunity to second guess. Okay, cool. Should be pretty close to being finished. Feel that it's sort of. I've got that extra ring in there, which must have been inside of a knee or something. But I'll get rid of that at some point if it's even visible. If it's not visible, don't worry about it. Seal it up one more time. Apparently it's not. Getting pretty close. Still not quite. Just in there. because it can get a bit finished trying to find a plug ball box. And that's all right. Well, for now that is close enough, because it's at least filled in most of those gaps for now. The rings are mostly there. Okay, that's where that one was. So I put this piece back on. This is the only thing we need to worry about now is what we can still see, which is still a decent amount of it. So there's still some work that will happen in deepening some of those holes. So all of these orcs have extra little um, armor plates. This is sort of, I believe it comes off the it's inspired by, I believe it's an Angus McBride roll. Has lots of these. Like these extra little plates. It comes from somewhere. Like uh before that. But that's a one of the places it comes from. They sort of build up layers. And it's just sort of little rings that have been inserted into the chainmail. It might need to be not a perfect thing on top. Want that. Cool. No, well, actually, it might work to be covered. So let's start finishing this bit here. Run it round now. Run this damn standard. Sharpens all. It's not very neat yet, but it will get there. Moving on. It's just because I think the next step will be to come in with the flattened brush. Here. Change. And one more. Bit of fun. Okay, easy. So I'll now smooth all off the back to those. So I'll smooth that all off and estimate that. So just I haven't looked at it from this angle yet, but I don't like in here there's stuff missing. I want to try and build that bit up in just a second. Cool. One quick smooth. And then don't eat any of this up. Just smooth all of that away. Here is pretty good. This is obviously very sharp. Hold that down. This needs more thickness under there before printing, but everything else. Yeah, don't cut bridges, but otherwise it's right. You can tell it when this fella walks. They're heavy footsteps. They're not very light. Guy's carrying a fair bit of extra weight. He looks very stocky and very heavy. Interesting to put a normal person next to him. And see, because he looks very big at the moment. I have to have a look in a second. Ooh. So actually, while we're here, I will finish off. Okay, so what that's going to mean is I need to sort of backfill all of this through the chainmail. So it's underneath, it's going to look very messy, but it needs to look from the outside like it's flat like that. Otherwise, it's just too thin and spindly, and either prone to breaking. It's not fun to paint. Alrighty, and then a bit more. Alright, that's the mask. Cool. Just smooth it off the whole way around. Alright, there we go. That's the basics of that torso bit done. Um, the legs, the legs are all right. They're they're fine. I did want to put some extra bits in there. I will put some of these bits in. But still got this horrendous face to look at, but it will become something better. The arms are. Let's get to that in a second. So I know on the side, one more thing for this is just need to push away a bit more material around the belt. It's just a bit close to the belt. Belt needs to be separate. Painting is I'm going to put these bits in plates because there's going to end up being a couple of dozen of these, and I don't want them getting in the way when we're trying to scroll for stuff. So this is at the moment I'm keeping the design pretty safe. It's very similar to sort of what I've already done, but I do want to change it. But I think maybe the point of difference might be the shield he gets. But we'll get to that in a bit. But this is why we turn arms into tab. I leave the chainmail there when I make an arm folder because I want to see at least the start of the direction they're going, so that if I was still doing the torso, normally I would put those bits in there too. Just been lazy and I haven't needed to yet. They need to show up on the other. Oh, the dog not happy about the thunder. not like getting the impression that the so is sort of flat stuck to the belly. So one of the ways to do that I find is just to sort of like flatten it out sometimes, and then put in some obvious sort of creases where it's being pulled. So it almost looks like it's being pulled tight around his gut. Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like it's pushing through these bits. Yeah, a bit more pronounced. Before we finish, I'll have to go around and make some of these areas in here a little flatter, so that there's a bit more to edge highlight, as well as probably clean some of that up. Just here, go in, adjust this. Yeah, there we go. That's going to be much more interesting when if you can picture like the lines that are going to have paint on them, so it's going to be darker there, light and whatnot. That's sort of what you're thinking about when doing that, sort of accentuating those bits. Go. Yeah, that's all right. I'll come back to that. Actually, oh, there's two perfect bits here to do that. And you can continue up side of the armor. There. And you can sort of imagine under here it's getting tucked in. So I won't worry about even looking at how like it's tucked in at the moment. We just know it is. I haven't used those bits yet. I hadn't decided whether I wanted to add that yet. I'm sort of now leaning towards having him be more lightly armored, but then he looks just like the other ones. So and he needs to have some point of difference because he's got to be the guy leading it. Leave that sheet. No, no, leave just the shield at the moment, and let's look at the shoulders now. Actually, before we do the shoulders, I think the hair and face sort of need doing, because if the hair decides to sit towards the front, coming over the shoulders, then there's less space to work with. Let's fix this face. So I haven't got symmetry because of the way it's positioned, but I think that's not going to be a problem. Um, I don't really have any reference up. This is obviously started off one of my old other orc heads, but just sort of going for a little bit more of the gorilla vibe. Up for a bit, pronounce those, and then we'll flatten them back down. Yeah, it's better. So, okay, we're going to have a little bit of a gap in there. Forward bit and forward. This forward bit, I want to reach that chin. And here. That's better. That's way better. So, think about that chin. Uh, these guys are meant to be sort of hyper masculine. Out an awful further than it really is. But because he is a bit of a burly bloke, I do want to keep this head. So before I move on, I want to put it in my folder of other head. There we go. That's a good one. Put that here and just there we go. So this is one of those things when you look at a face that's sort of been symmetrized, it always looks weird. But when it's been sculpted outside of symmetry, it looks a lot more normal. And you can see where it's not symmetrical. Um, anyway, go back to this one, and let's sort of fix those teeth. I'll turn up the resolution, double it, turn that up. The teeth are only really shards of teeth. Like, I think 90% of people probably won't paint them, but just for the computer renders, actually, I think that's aware of that for it as well. Cool. Alrighty, estimate that, and then maybe turn up some contrast. But that's much better for the face. Maybe I might build up his trap muscles, and then we can maybe leave a bit of the like the shoulders. I'll put this in the backup folder because if we build up the trap muscles, we might be able to get some interesting stuff going on there without just resorting to extra armor. I don't also like that sword points up. I think that this one needs to be sort of a straight blade. Not that this one's not going to be it, but I almost want like it leading the other way. I have to have a look at that later. So here is normally start at the top of the hair, but I'm going to give this one a go at the from the bottom. Okay, yeah, I might change the angle that hand is at. So for now, back to this. So I dynamesh that to 400. That's all I need for now. Turn this one all the way up. Put this around 10. Bigger. that one. Just generic, just sort of lines where it's been pulled over the ear. If it's been pulled over the ear, it needs to go under the ear. And this one needs to be one like that. I want a bunch of sort of messy strands. Twisted path in there. Same sort of path way. Maybe it's not, the hair's not entirely straight either. Curling. I might do more from the bottom because that way I can take the hair off the head and or isolate it and not worry about sort of where it's going. One of those long laborious stuff that I'm waiting for AI to come and finish for us. So I've just mirrored their hairpiece because when you're drawing, your wrist naturally flows sort of one direction. Um, it's good to mirror the bits every now and then, just so that it doesn't all sort of run the same way. And sometimes things look right when they're one facing one direction, but as soon as you look at it, you mirror it, all of a sudden the position looks awkward. But maybe someone looking at it, but that's because you're used to looking at it the way you've been looking at it. But so someone looking at it fresh from the outside might think, hang on, that's a bit. Yeah, it's coming there. Put another sort of. Oh, all right. That's a fair bit of it. I'll turn that. Not totally convinced about all the hair running down. Make it wet to get some depth. Nothing else. Career there. This, yeah, absolutely. That's right. Well, and I think the shape is a bit. That will do. That is a, but I think I'll cut some of that away. Now it's no, there is. Uh, okay, so now no trick decimated, and then contrast. Yeah, bit of the shape that I want. Now, okay, now that there's at least a bit of texture there, play with that silhouette, the way it's sitting. It's all brushed back, and some of it's sort of sliding. Out here at the sides is too like that. I think that will do. I think that one's going to need to get refined sort of as we go. It's sort of just it is looking quite big at the top. I don't mind it being high, just just a little bit too high. I'll bring everything out, top of it back down, a little bit more flat across, but at the back it's sort of up. It is all right. Let's look at the headline. That's in the sorry, yeah, that's not bad. It looks almost a bit squashed from the forehead. What happens if I there we go. All right, let's leave that for now. So let's now revisit the arms. Before we do the arms, that's the body. That's the and there are the arms. So no, I should have reattached them right here. I will connect at least the bar belly up because I want to start working on the neck. What room do we have? Oh, yeah, a little bit. And in that case, I'll just that bit with. Cool. So now this is back in here. only to go to about 100 now. So the face is is pretty much done. Not much of that shape's going to get lost moving forward. I'm just going to do the neck and stuff because we'll start to put more pieces on it now. I think I might give this fella some extra bits around the belt as well. Starting here, just I truthfully don't know the anatomy of the neck. I just sort of spit to get it sort of near enough. But the important thing at the moment is really the where the collarbone is sitting, and then where we're going to start building up the the upper back in the trapezius. So, like the rest of the muscles are sort of more or less been ignored because they're all hidden by clothing. And when they're hidden by clothing and armor and all the other parts, and the at least the impression of where they are is there. The upper neck, the traps at the moment, the only layer covering that is that leather sort of collar that they have. So I'm going to put a bit more emphasis into just the shape of these two slabs of muscle here because first, hey mate, yeah, the first one is available. It is you've got to click on the channel and then where there's home, like at the home page, and then videos, and then if you go to live, the last one is there. It's yeah. I don't know if there's a way to get them to show up just under videos, but no, they show up just under the live stream section, the previous one. Cool. Okay, so now I'll put that extra bit of neck muscle in. I'll lift these up a bit. I'll come in a little bit closer, and I'll see if I can get sort of the impression of the muscle through. But like, we know that the shape of the muscle is sort of through here, where there's a gap, as well as there. So where it's being pulled tight, it's got to be sort of straight over that. I also need to fix the inside of this. Let's fix the inside of this first, and then I'll try and see if we can get it so that you can see his shoulder muscles through the vest. I don't think it's actually going to. Looking at it now, I don't think it's going to be very pronounced, but it might just sort of inform what looks natural over the shoulders. So this is being pulled tight down from up there, so that bit in. Up. So we get tricky in here. Because it's got to sort of have tension straight through there, as well as sort of show the like the creases, but also yeah, show the gap through there. It's gonna be tricky. You know what to do, especially, but it will work out. It's just gonna be beveling off. That might have been not really worth it. Oh, not sure. There you go. Try doing something similar on the back. But yeah, I sort of thinking this was now a bit of a moot point because like not the most sort of obvious anything there, but you're just going to turn the hair back on and it's all covered. But it's I don't know, it's going up. I don't think it. Yeah, it's not totally wasted. It's just not totally as well. It's not nowhere near as fun. I'd want it. I'll pull that bit being pulled. Good. Want to get some more tension sort of through these bits. So like how this one has its there, a bit like that, and unfortunately they've been tugged one. All right, I'll dynamesh this whole thing now. Pretty much going to stay together, and then it'll time to. Alrighty, if you're watching, what do you think? Do shoulder and shoulder armor. So put as in plates up here, plates there, as well as these thigh pieces. Worry about thigh pieces or not worry about them. Put the arms back, sort of visible. So yeah, he's going to be holding a shield in that left hand. Yeah, there's going to be a sort of a shield, a big shield in that left hand. A different sword in the right one. Does he need any more, or is he fine as he is because he matches the guys going with him? Meantime, have another look at this bit there. Out. That's it. Oh, because there's no room. Yeah. And then in here, okay, it's actually a good opportunity here to do. Because it's sort of being all stuff and sort of something there, especially now with brush. I need to have another look at that. Drop that down. And this brush is strong because it's just come off between the hair. That's still a little bit. There we go. That'll need to do the same things. Might, that one can get tucked in a bit more quite. Because this arm's being lifted up, I don't think it's crucial. So I just put a sharp line. Then I can put it roughly where I want it. And then as long as I don't move it, I can go in and tidy it up. That's probably that is that's fine. So square that off. Going in. And just hard. That's fine. It's only little, but it just makes the vest feel a little bit better. Alrighty. Now I'll have a start thinking about the shield. I just want like a great big round one or something, maybe domed, and or some spikes on it. Um, yeah, yeah, that's a good question. So quickly, all right, shoulder armor on this. Nice. Let's put one of them on. So if that went there, okay. So what's holding it on? It would be sort of a strap, either across and then underneath. Let's have a look. What have I done before? Open up some of the other alt. Because this is, they've all got a similar sort of aesthetic. What did these look like? Let's just get rid of that one. They had bits held on by under here. That's okay. That's a option. Then there is crossbows. I didn't even do an attachment for how they're being held up. Oh, I had ringlets in made it, which is what I had done. I thought that I had done more connecting bits there. Where's this? No, I think uh, less is more in this one. Um, I don't think he needs like I don't think there's anything to be gained from doing extra bits that that's making this bit in here a bit. So there's just a bit more in sort of. But yeah, it's just sort of clearly being held too tight. Yeah, changed up my belt buckles a little bit since last time. It's up, down, oh, then a sort of a strap. Got to go in. I'll rotate it. Yep, that'll do. But the lower half is all right. Top half. Okay, so we want arms. So I kind of like the idea that it's sort of narrower, like just that look of it's sort of narrow at the top, and then it's obviously very unfitted at the side. So from this point here, it just needs to fall straight down. All right, so that's this one more or less. Uh, but I also want um like the line to be sort of that sort of curve right back in. Yeah, it's that's why I was talking earlier. I think before you joined about the doing even if not finishing all these pieces or the hair, but just getting the silhouette in first because if you got if the silhouette's like right, then it's easy to sort of as you said like each part sort of brings it together, and you can make them all sort of proportional to each other. But yeah, it is a huge balancing act. Try and like get all of the pieces to work in sort of in tangent with each other, especially when you've got things like hair or chainmail that sort of once you've like sort of put them in their finished spot and you've taken away the ability to move them, you've done it wrong. You've got to start again. So it's sort of like you got to work on all of it almost all at once. It's very finicky. Um, so I might just pivot off this chainmail and do the arms underneath. I'll do this one quickly, but then I'll do the arms underneath and come back to it because I think there's it needs a bit more musculature underneath. Links are not quite shut, but we're gonna pull away some of these chain links just like we did on the skirt. That pulling up one. All right, so that'll do for sort of for now. Let's go back. We only got take away the body. Don't need that at the moment. Okay, let's make him look like he's eating trend sandwiches every day. We can't actually see almost any of this from the outside. So I'm not even not going to add anything to the top because we've already up a little bit high as it is. There we go. That's quite a chunky arm. Very symmetrical. That's just because I started with one that's already got a bunch of muscles on it. Just adding some. The hands I think are going to get replaced, but I don't need to replace just yet. Same deal here. I don't think we're really going to add anything to the top. I just wanted to make the arms a little thicker. So that now when we come back to this one, yeah, I'd already sort of padded it out with the chainmail already. Like as in I pretended that it was muscle underneath. But it just always looks better when you actually do have the right shape underneath to determine how the things sit. But I I normally don't guess it right, but I had in that case. Cool. So that's super good. Let's leave that. So one to mesh. Very one to mesh. Cool. So these ones have that this underneath. I'm gonna keep that there. Close holes and just leave that because that way I've got, unlike when I did the skirt and I had to fill it in sort of by hand quite slowly, at least this way I've got this underneath. So if I turn on auto grips now, let's get rid of some of these links. Sort of just across here. Just so it's like a bit ripped. So maybe the sleeve was longer one day. I normally take away more from underneath. Not only does it help sort of supporting the model, it gives it sort of a taper. And generally as well, I take like 3 out of there. Off the back as well. 3. Split hidden. That was delete the old ones. Now on this bit here, just pull it back near enough to where it is now, just so it's not sort of sticking out, obscuring what we can see. But it's not important yet, final position, because we haven't finished with the chainmail. I've got more to go over here. I'm going to measure this. Just move around. I need to do a bit of that. It was a bit high the first time round. Alright, I'm going to decimate that and do the contrast, smooth and contrast trick, and then I'll put it onto the backing and then start doing some individual rings. I'm gonna have to do some more on the sort of the shirt piece at the back. Yep. Oh, I'm not S pivot. That would crash. Yes. Cool. Now all the rings are sort of in. Now let's put that backing. Just work on this by itself. Just trying to mesh that back. So I'm gonna need this to read more like a gap in the rings. I'll change the shape of these. Further down. I can just push this the whole way because there's got to be muscle underneath anyway. Same deal. So, fortunately, I don't think something was going quite well over here, so I'm just going to do some of these. Not everywhere, just some of the extra ones. I over here. Yeah, it's all right. Bit on the top here, it's just quite a bit repetitive. So, I'm going to do little sort of bring bits and pieces away from each other. So it's a little bit less repetitive. Oh, so we've got in here to do now. So these down back to that backing layer. Because this bit sort of is all going to get sort of painted black with the obviously the metal edge highlight. So that to be completely flat, just like it was a bit of green stuff. Sure why that bit got moved. Right. for now. Most of the oh, we haven't. That one's been taken. That's sure what else there is to do. Change the sword and do the shield and fix the back. So yeah, there's still more to go. It's an alright spot. We want to slap some more of these back where that's a bit plain. Well, okay. Alright, so I think it's sword and shield and then some last minute changes. So for the sword, what did I have? I thought I didn't like that one. Uh, Partial to it now, but I think might that black. So good. Okay, yeah. So lower that. After that. Also give the impression that it's a little bit bigger because the sword is now not the handle that makes. I don't need to go back in and do the whole hand again. We only need to do. We'll see. I'll wrap this one up. Finish. Pretty sure the Bad Batch comes out for Star Wars today. Okay, go watch that. Yeah, that's an appropriately sized one. All it needs now, actually, that is quite dull, is do these by hand. Every now and then it must bite into another sword or a rock. And tips and All right, it's just putting some blemishes in the blade so that doesn't just read as, you know, brand new. Unfortunately, I haven't done this to the rest of the orcs. Don't think. I think actually a couple of them do have some marks in it, but not quite that many. I don't mind. I'm actually sort of liking the idea of that kick at the back, in the sense that it can be turned around and whacked like a pick. I might just let it a bit sort of straighter. So it reads a bit more like a straight edge, and then there's a pick at the back where it can be sort of spun around, you know. That's, that's all right. All right, let's look at that big round shield now. So I kind of just want to sort of maybe a big round one that sort of looks like the ones that I did January. Second, just having a look at the ones that I've already done. Okay, so got to open up a tool that I've got. Just a piece there with some wood texture already on it. I'll bring that. We don't need this crossbowman open. Actually, let's keep this piece as well, because we'll bring that into wood one. Need the dwarf helmets. Shoes. Don't need the control. Don't need the human body. On this one. Let's just put that crossbowman in there. See. So I actually end up scaling my ones of this up a tiny fraction. This guy's not sitting right on the floor. I'm gonna just in my turn these two. This guy's actually down here, so he's not much. I just bring that one up by 0.5 so that he reads. Oh, maybe that's. Let me just. This is it. This is sort of going to be important to get right. Sorry, I'm in the wrong thing. I'm going to pull in a human. I want him to be a bit bigger than some of the humans. In actually, hang on. Just duplicate this, and I'll import in one of the figures from this month, which I made sure was the right size. Cool. I don't like that. Fortunately, that one is actually my least favorite out of the bunch. Cool. So if we put him back down, let him across. That's a normal person. That's this big orc. And that guy's standing upright, and the orc is still a little bit bigger. I'm going to duplicate this, bring that across, so that it looks like they're all standing on bases. So that when they went up, so ZBrush has two perspective modes. There's orthographic perspective. That's fine. I think individual users might maybe scale him down a bit. The thing I'm worried about is the sword hitting the models that he's in base contact with, but I don't. It's decently thick, much thicker than the other ones. He's also quite tall, so I'm sure that you can spit him so that it's gone between the models. So that's not a big deal. Just got to do this shield now. once we've gone through this reload. So if this one here, update size ratios, that's 31 millimeters to the top of that. So 20, so it's pretty much 28 to the eyes. This is 28 to the eyes. So yeah, this guy will stand decently tall. I'll get rid of this now. We don't need that. Don't need him anymore. It's clear that he's a chunky dude. Yeah, and I think some folks might want to scale him a little bit back down. I might actually have another look. Put him next to January. Action models. Bring this fella across. No, that's too big. Put that one. There we go. I'll put him back to where he was. He's still got a bigger head, so he's already bigger. I don't think. Yeah, thick boy being hit in the trend hard. Yeah, on the tremboloni sandwiches. All right, yeah. He's a, he's a, he's he's got that is it HGH, the one that makes the people's heads bigger? So all the bodybuilders who take human growth hormone, their heads get bigger. He's just got that big human growth hormone head. All right, so we need that shield. Let's pull in this circle. Oh, it's not even a circle yet. Make that a bit bigger. I think that's roughly the size I want. So actually, I'm just going to drop this resolution actually even lower. I just don't want to risk crashing with I just need to make this into a circle. But near enough. And on Y, radius. There might be a better way of cutting circles. Not totally sure. But I'm happy with that. So the axis is still upright. So that I can just reset it. That's pretty big, but I don't think it's the wrong size for this figure. I do want it to be quite giant. Cool. So let's just bring that back. Yeah, I might just take that off separately. Just put it back in the center. So he needs he's probably gonna have two shield straps on it. So I want this side and that side. That's um both have wood texture. Merge together. Cool. Alrighty. So I want it to have a subtle dome. So right now it's bending that way. Actually, I'd have to decimate this quickly. Actually, I'll just get a quick photo of this. All right, I'll go back to. Cool. So now I need to spin this one around so that I can bend it with this one. But then I need to turn on the other one, get this sort of shape. Right, that didn't work. Turn off that. Still spin it 90. Oh, it's too thick. I can add wood texture. I only wanted the most subtle dome. But because it's got to have straps on the back, there doesn't need to be a big boss. I'll open up the shields I had from these guys. I might just see if just nick just this bit. Only want the middle one. So come back to the shield. Make sure that's in the center. I'm gonna get a rim. Okay, so this piece here is going to be a bit finicky. Was right. So it's sort of got to be that only on one side and put in sort of on the other. I don't want to put the spikes at the bottom of the other ones. Okay, let's leave that. Come back to that. Put on this rim. Actually, hang on. I'll do what I did the other ones. Won't have the metal come like the whole way off. I think over the back. I'll give it this sort of thing there, and then I'll have to do some wood like off those edges. Yeah, I don't know. I want to keep that front bit, but it sort of doesn't have the same place that it did. That's how I made it like bigger. But what I do want is, even though this is here, these bits, but not nearly that many. that many of them. Not that many of them. So, actually, I know what to do. I'll give the shield a boss. I can hide this. So now that it has a boss, it changes the way the back will sit. Pull this back. This trouble I'm having familiar enough with ZBrush to have it. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like it's not the most user-friendly program. Um, if you're in the Discord, send me a message and I've got on a Google Drive the custom user interface that I've got here on the left, the miniatures one, the modeling one, because that really helps having all of the tools you need sort of in one spot. I'm gonna sort of give that sort of flat texture. Actually, I'll just use. This is just a rock texture brush, but I might just use it to sort of set in some sort. Yeah, put in some big dense where it's tabbed. But then I want to put sort of a big spike coming out the front. So these pieces here, if I rotate them, cut the middle ones out. Put these pieces back. Lift that one up. Bring it across. Bring it across. Duplicate. It. And then the center one. Yeah, it works out in the end. Oh, I need to mirror here, then back, then have it sort of come up. Then a big spike on the front. There we go. And then I'll need to put two more there. These still need to I've got to wash my car. um I unfortunately I'm probably gonna finish this shield and then be pretty close to being done. I've been on for 2 and a bit hours, and yeah, that's all right. I'm aim is to do this every Wednesday. it would be great one day to have enough people sort of listening, putting in sort of comments and suggestions that it becomes sort of a like how I do it in the Discord where I put all the work in progress photos, and then everyone yeah, goes and I was going to be a bit more impolite. I was going to say everyone goes and whinges about how the heads aren't modular or something, but no, we appreciate the feedback. But speaking of which, someone's just asked if the heads are modular, just in the Discord for next month. I'm going to open up one of those minis and we can have another look and see if it's doable. I'm open to doing it with the next month's figures, the modular heads. I hadn't banked on it though. I don't think it should be too tricky because I don't imagine the hair is going to be like the sort of the long hair where you need to attach it. And I think modular heads is a good idea for next for the militia, so that um not modular arms are just too not possible for this sort of thing. But the heads, yeah, because then you with different paint jobs on the different pieces, definitely get a lot more mileage out of them. So I'll make it a little wider in the front, and then at the top, wash it in a bit, and then in here, one more. These might have to edit this one a bit. Those. It was annoying. I was doing the figures today, and I wanted to sort of use a bit of the um, Vladimir Zelensky figure, um, but I couldn't find it. Must have accidentally deleted it at some point because it had some nice shoulders. I've found where I had made some of it separately, and I've saved those bits. But yeah, modularity is such not sure everything. Yeah, it's and it just comes down to that question: do you see minis as an art piece or as a gaming piece? And that's sort of just what it comes down to. And that's the yeah, like that time I said. Yeah, did I? I can't remember whether I pointed that out to you that the heads was it maybe it was no, I think it was not it wasn't you, it was Jeremy from the Green Dragon podcast. He put them together and he put the heads on the other way, which looked fine. It just looked like they were swinging it the other way, which was fine. But yeah. Well, no, I think the Klansmen are way better now that the heads are fixed, like fixed down to the model. Um, what's that's what are they doing? They should be here if they're going. You copy Jeremy's. He did a good job. Well, both of you have done a good job painting those. I did my first ones, and then Jeremy I saw did his set, and then I thought it. Then I think you did yours next, and then I did my next set, and I did my next set. Awesome that you would. Oh yeah, just message me, Aeon. Where are you? You're. I haven't got a message yet. It's one of those things. Can you put it in if you're in the Discord? The or you may just confirm where you sent me a message. No peace, just war. Just because I have a feeling Discord people send messages and then it goes into a where is it? There it is. I've just come across. Oh, we've already spoken before. Um, yeah, okay, that's all right. I'll just grab that link up for you now. So just explaining what the context for this. In ZBrush, the panel on the left here is a custom uh, panel with all the tools for miniatures. But I've got that somewhere on a Google Drive. I'm just pulling out yet, and I can't find it. There it is. Video one. Yeah, I'm just sending you back a link. It's in there. So it's you need to download miniatures UI.config. It's in the ZBrush thing. You go up here to preferences, config, load UI, and select it. It might not work because of the. To be fair, that was made a long time ago, and I think that uh, ZBrush is a bit finicky with you've got the wrong version, so it won't work today or at all, and you might need to make your own one. But you'll easily be able to screenshot this video, see the tools that I've got open, and know which ones, at least I think, that you should use. So okay, actually, just quickly, I'll look, she was looking great. Got her right. Oh, no worries, Matt. See you around. Uh, just quickly making the custom UI. Pretend just quickly before I move on. Pretend it doesn't work when you try. Config, enable customize, and then there is custom UI. Create new menu. Wait, hang on. Create new menu. Blah blah blah, and then it will show up. If you want to move brushes around, Control Alt drag. Hang on. So say I want to add this belt buckle. We had a Control Alt drag, put it down here, get rid of them, as well as like mirror comes from geometry. No, it doesn't. I truthfully don't remember where they all come from. But see divide here. I've just taken divide and put it up there. So this is the subdivision one. Store config, enable customize, turn it off. Yeah, there are, you'll find dedicated videos about that. From, I believe, like Flip Normals. I'm sure we'll have one. This is very rough at the moment. I need it, but I think this is fine. I was just going to chuck it in the Discord just because the folks are in there when they could be in here. So who knows what they're take these, flatten them. The keys are slipping up just recently. Alrighty, so go back into these. And make these things look a bit better. Actually, let's do the piece underneath first. So this piece underneath, yeah, let's turn that up. So to get sort of a randomized pattern, I turn this down at various different increments, and then like sort of down sort of to 5, and put in little marks and things like that. Because when you go down to things like 5, they're nowhere near each other, and especially when you change it up, it makes it quite a random pattern. Like now, I'll go in that, but and it might look like, oh, they're frequent, but because they're next to different things, they show up differently. But then if I bring it to 2 and do another one here, then all of a sudden this feature is one feature, whereas the opposite one is over there. So all of a sudden this one no longer looks like that one anymore. So I want this to read sort of as that metal. Actually, have to go back up to 16. Yes, and just sort of want to put very faintly through here, just to sort of sharpen those edges a bit, so it looks a bit more like it's beaded metal. We do need to work on this piece as well. This is actually going to be a lot from scratch for this piece of wood, but not really worried about gaining symmetry on this because of so much stuff happening in front of it. I'll take that. Right, I'm not quite sure what it's saying. Yeah, very rough. And but there we go. All right, that'll do. These, let's just change what they look like. So I don't think I want them to be spikes. Now I've got so many other spikes. Flatten them off. Make them just rivets. Might actually flatten the top. Yep. Uh, let's see. Is there any other changes now? I'll make unique to the figure to the shield. Oh, hang on. Quite a thick piece, but he is a definitely a strong orc. So now I need to find that center. Oh yeah, there's loads of space before I hitting outside of that. Just about sort of the obvious bit where the knuckles of the hand are going to be. But then I need a sort of a bar run up. Let's just turn on A, D. So normally, just because we're getting to the end of this, I'm going to do it by sculpting it on. But normally I'd probably make this out of a separate piece. But one of those things where if you set yourself a deadline, like honestly, no one's looking at the inside of this shield to would even know that it was done separately. It's more clicks to do it that way. So this is fine. Easy. Now what I really should have done is done that top of him, some of it. But I was just confident that it would. Oh right. So it's so thick. That's okay. This is a shield that when he whacks someone, he's knocking them over with it. That he's either knocking them over or properly skewering them. Um, feeling having starting with nothing on the screen, or at least just some parts. Oh, should be was perfectly right. All right, who's got that screen? Alrighty. If you're watching and you see anything I've missed, um, leave that space in the room. If there's anything you reckon I've missed, just put it in the chat. I'll get to it now. Otherwise, I don't think I'll get to it. I think I'm going to call this one as done. So I definitely want to use that shield on some more things. Sort of spiky bits on it, or at least another sort of that. Give it just to break it up. Oh, actually, there's sort of more to go, but I don't mind that it's happening off axis. Fortunately, I'm back to the right. All I need to do is I don't need to put it back to symmetry. I just need to support it when it gets out of here, and that's not. There we go. And it's just being punched into that timber. Field. Alright, better look in case. Alrighty, let's back to these sort of get but not much you can see once you put everything inside of this. Not too concerned. Weird texture when I merge the two together. Just, okay. I'm going to start merging these bits together and finishing it up. I think. Now it's all one piece. I'll play a little bit with the expression, I think. And if you get this sort of shape, this S in here, it looks extra angry without covering up all the sides. Hair is pretty messy. That's and I just make sure it's all. I think that's fine. Oh dear, tricky. I don't want to call it done. Not. So what I'm doing here, because we know that there's a shield going on it, just flattening. So it lines up with. Oh, actually, let's look at this fabric now. Get some. And we've got to wait through the so. Just push these bits back. This is just giving a little bit more of a gap between the layers, make things easier to print. Not easier to print, but definitely easier. Alrighty, let's make that. Okay, cool. If there is more in the end later, this isn't the end, but back. I think I might start coming back and when I like and take a fresh look. Thanks. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to call it there. So for now, at least this one's finished. It might get a bit of a tweak before it goes up. I'm going to chuck this one in the February release. It might make its way to the welcome pack for 2023 later. I bunch of stuff. I want to do a refine the welcome pack, and I've set some time aside this month to do that. And I'm thinking that that's what I should use these Wednesday streams for. Is filling that. But for now, I'm just putting them into the following month release, and they're either filling a gap from something the last month left behind, or something that's more of a request. So this one, if I had more time through December sculpting, I would have done a drummer to go with those orcs because I haven't done an orc. I've actually done one orc drum. I've done way more with everything else. So but I didn't get to do any characters. So I did this one when someone said they were going to use another figure as like the captain. I thought no, just wait. I'll do it. I'll do an extra one. So anyway, next Wednesday, the 11th. That one's going to be most likely a historical mini. Um, something in that vein. The tricky thing with historical ones is they need to have a mounted equivalent, and there's just not quite the time in 3 hours to do a mounted equivalent, as well as the foot one. So I'm intending to do another historical piece next month, or next Wednesday. But yeah, at this point, best idea wins. If you want a suggestion. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Have a good week. Have a good